Hey all, thanks for joining us tonight on Breaking the News Plus. The new era for the Timberwolves and Minnesota Lynx is underway, and it's under new ownership. Businessman Marc Lore and baseball great A-Rod officially closed the deal to take the teams over last week, and today we heard from them for the first time since that deal was made final at the NBA Summer League in Las Vegas. Jennifer Hoff is in Vegas with an exclusive interview with A-Rod and Lore. That's going to air tonight at 10. But here is what they had to say when the new owners met the press in Vegas this afternoon.
Today, we're excited to introduce new controlling owners of the Timberwolves and Lynx, co-chairman Marc Lore and Alex Rodriguez. In just a moment, you'll have the opportunity to hear from them about how they plan to lead, as well as their vision and commitments for the future. We'll then open it up for Q&A from the audience, and we'll close it with a photo opportunity here on stage. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize a few individuals here in the building. Timberwolves, members of their coaching staff are here, including franchise cornerstone Anthony Edwards in the building. Also, interim Timberwolves and Lynx CEO Kelly LaFerriere, along with numerous front office executives from the Timberwolves and Lynx organization. We are also sorry to miss Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve, as well as WNBA MVP frontrunner Napheesa Collier, who can't be here with us today. They are on a road trip and also preparing for All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis in a few days. All right, we're going to get started now. Marc, I'm going to start with you. Just 2 weeks ago, you and Alex became officially controlling owners of the Timberwolves and the Lynx. What are you most excited about now that it's all complete?
Well, first, let me just say, this looks like we're at a press conference here. I'm used to watching it on TV from the side. I mean, you've done this before, but no, I mean, you know, this is a dream come true. So excited to have this opportunity, and you know, we want to create two of the most admired franchises in all sports, and it really starts with culture, starts with people, and we're going to create a value system that we live by, and we're going to create a culture of sustainable winning on and off the court. Focus on the community, the players, and doing what's right. And it's really going to be values-led. And I think Alex and I share a similar set of values, and that's what makes us such a great team. So, yeah.
Same question for you, Alex.
Yeah, I think I just echo what Marc said. It's really a dream come true to have this opportunity to be stewards of two wonderful franchises in a market like Minneapolis, where the fan base has been so incredibly supportive to this team. And this is really about the fans, is about our players, is about the culture. When you look at the people in the room, you know, from Tim Connolly to Coach Finch to Dell, Matt Lloyd, and our great players, and the continuity we're building, you know, Marc and I are obsessed to bring a winner to Minnesota, but you're going to get all of us. This is not a hobby. This is something that we're here to win. We're here to set a new standard for us, for ourselves, and our fan base deserves that. And you're going to get us 365, 24/7.
Alex, I'll piggyback off of that. As co-chairman, let's talk about how the two of you will lead together. What experiences can you draw from in your existing business relationship and friendship that will work here?
Me first? Yeah, I think first of all, Marc and I are just great friends. You know, we both have two daughters. We're both New Yorkers. We come from the bottom, and we have complementary set of skills. I have such deep respect and admiration for the way Marc has conducted himself his entire life. If you look at his business background, it's just synonymous with winning. Everything he does, you never want to bet against a guy like Marc. And I think our complementary set of skills is he comes for the last 30 years in the world of startup company, being an entrepreneur, taking, you know, multiple business on huge exits. And I have the last 30 years in sports, where I've cut my teeth. I've had some tremendous mentors along the way. And this is something that I dreamed in my summer league. When I was an 17-year-old in instructional league playing in Seattle, I started thinking about one day, could I have this opportunity? So I think we're going to work very well together. We make decisions together. We talk sometimes 4 or 5 times a day, and we're excited to get started.
Same thing for you, Marc.
Yeah, just to build on what Alex said, you know, I had a saying when I was in the startup world for all this time. I would always have to look at the back of someone's baseball card before I hired them. And literally now, he actually has his own baseball card. So and you know, Alex's track record is impeccable. And, you know, I think it's more that we share the same set of values and we have the same vision for what we want the Timberwolves and Lynx organizations to be. that really is the glue that binds us. And we are great friends, and we have mutual respect. But we also have complementary skills. So I think we approach problems with different life experiences. And it seems that we always get to a better answer than any one of us would get to alone. Sometimes, you think you have the right answer, and then you talk it through, and the answer gets better. It gets molded like a piece of clay. And it reminds me of having co-founders in startups, where it's sometimes it's lonely when you're doing it alone, and I think it's fun to have someone that you respect, throughout the whole journey with you. I don't know how I would have survived the last 18 months without Alex, and it was a really, really tough period. So, and now hopefully great times to come. So.
Mark, I'll start with you on this one. In all of our discussions over the last few years, the topic of innovation is always constant. I know one of your top priorities is to create two of the most admired sport franchises in the world. Can you speak to how innovation will lead in this effort?
Yeah, I mean, as a startup founder, it's all about innovation. It's about being disruptive, not doing things the conventional way. And, we've got a clean slate here to rethink how things are done, not just accept the way they are. And, we have big ideas on how to innovate, on how to do things in a way that will separate us from others, in the way that's been done in the past. Starting with Jump, so it's a company Alex and I co-founded. We announced it today. It's a dynamic, real-time, integrated ticketing exchange, sort of a next-gen ticketing exchange, and a full fan experience. And that'll be the first of many, hopefully, things that we do to show that we're, being leaders and not just following. And if you guys have any questions about it, founder Jordy, the CEO, is actually here as well. But it's really cool. It's basically let's give you one bit of tech, because it's very cool.
Go.
You could dynamically move to any seat in the arena in real time. So if somebody leaves in the fourth quarter, that seat opens up. In a reverse auction, somebody can just buy that seat for $5 or $10 and move to it. So the arena will always be filled at the bottom, even if people leave. And that's just one aspect of it, but it's filled with little nuggets like that. And really cool stuff, and we look forward to implementing it in the season upcoming with the Timberwolves. So.
Yeah, and for our friends out there, I mean, it's basically like an app, just like Uber. You just press the 4 seats, you move in, you can watch the last, quarter, from the floor, and if somebody paid $1,000, maybe you watch the last quarter for $150, and you get your selfie, you get the experience, and that was the inception of that was a conversation that Mark and I had around 4 years ago. We never had any money to get into, stadiums, and we kind of bonded over this. So if you go into a stadium when we were little kids, you pay $2, you get in the upper deck, the cheapest seat, and then you kind of work your way down there, kind of maneuvering the ushers. That's what we had to do. And but it was always very frustrating to me as a 10-year-old boy that I would look down and you have all these empty seats behind home plate. And I'm like, why are those seats empty? I mean, so it's kind of creating Airbnb and Uber inside the arena, inside the stadium. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's something we share as well. The ushers, man.
They're tough. They're tough.
They get tough.
So some stadiums, and Pedro will tell you this. My buddy Pete's been with me for 30 years. He's been kicked out of every major league stadium, and he's still here. He'll probably get kicked out today.
Final question for you both. Mark, I'll start with you. How important is the Minnesota community to the future of these franchises, and how do you plan to make an impact in the Twin Cities?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with just being present. I think, we think about the community the same way we do the team. We want to invest in both. It's very important to us. The fans are part of the community, and the community is a part of the fan base and the team. It's all one. And so, just being present, giving back, showing up, and making an impact where we see the opportunity to make a real impact. So.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, the community and the fan base are the real stakeholders of these two teams. And Mark and I are fortunate enough to have the wherewithal to be able to steward these two franchises. The community is everything, and the best thing you can do for a community is win. Because I've been around sports for 30 years, and in a world that's so divided, sports and music brings people together. And I've seen the way Minnesota, that arena, and I guess the best compliment came from Mike Breen, who's an absolute legend, who's the head voice of ABC and ESPN. And he said, from all the places I've been to, Minnesota and Target was one of the loudest and most passionate in the whole NBA. And that's a compliment that I took, to heart, and so proud of our fan base. We know that locally in Minnesota, but to hear a national icon like Mike say that was really, really cool. And obviously, what we do in the community, I think this franchise has done some wonderful things in the community for a long time. Mark and I hope to extend that, because without the community, there is no teams.
No doubt. All right, we're going to open it up for questions now. And as a reminder, this is being live streamed, so there is a microphone for media members to ask questions. Please wait until you are called upon, and then identify yourself and your media affiliation before asking your question. And we will start with John.
John Krasinski with The Athletic. For both of you, when you first arrived, the sort of economic landscape of the NBA has changed pretty dramatically to where it is now. I just wonder what you guys think is the key to building a competitor and a sustainable competitor in this market, where we're seeing teams have to make really hard decisions with key players and second aprons and those things, and how you view what's going to be the key to navigating that for the Timberwolves and the Lynx.
Yeah, I mean, two things come to mind. One is creating a culture where the best players in the world want to come play, that they want to come to Minnesota. I think that's really important. And then I think second is being willing to invest, pay the tax and invest in the team. We think about it like we do a startup, where startups lose money, but they're investing because it's creating enterprise value over the long term. And I think that's the way we think about it, is investing in the team, in winning, creates long-term franchise value. And it's not over the next 3 to 5 years, but 10, 20, the next 50 years even. So we're prepared to invest, we're prepared to lose money to create a winning culture, but a sustainable winning culture, not just a 1 year. And you're not going to see us do what maybe people might expect us to do, which is come in as owners and make some big flashy move. Like, we're being very methodical about the decisions we make, and we're thinking in every decision what's in the best interest of the long term, for building a long-term sustainable culture of winning. So.
Yeah, John, I think, when you look at organizations, I mean, with my experience, having played for 3 ownership groups, Mr. Yamamoto used to own the Seattle Mariners, Tom Hicks in Texas, and then George Steinbrenner. What I've learned is, I think organizations sometimes overestimate what they can do. They overestimate what they can do in the short term and underestimate what they can do in the long run. So to be able to make decisions today, and what are the ramifications in the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years, versus going for the head fake and try to get it all at once. And I think for us, we have to thread the needle between being uber aggressive when it's time, but yet being very disciplined about running a good business, making sure that we're surrounding and our young players with the best people around them, both on the court and coaching. And continuity is a big part. I think one of the last biggest arbitrages in our game today in all sports is continuity. And you saw that with Oklahoma City. I mean, they came to our place three or 4 years ago, lost in that one playoff game, and you think, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to panic? Are they going to break the team up? No, they doubled down, continue with their continuity, build on it, and they didn't even hit the strike and won a world title. And now they're well positioned for the next many, many years. So I think that's a good role model for us and other teams.
Mark, for you talking about the ticket, but just in general, what do you think about kind of the accessibility of the game to the average fan, whether it be through rising broadcast fees to watch games, rising ticket prices, and just kind of the line you have to walk as owners to make money, but also make sure you're growing the game, growing the fan base, and making the game, whether it's in person or on television in the future, accessible to average fans?
Yeah, I think that's a really important question, and something that we really need to dig into. I think we're going to try to make it as accessible as possible. The mission of my startup Wonder is to make great food more accessible. So I'm definitely obsessed about the idea of making great product more accessible, and it's going to be the same with the Timberwolves and Lynx as well. We just have to figure out what's the best way to do it. But I think in that area we're going to lean in. So we just have to figure it out.
Put you on the spot, but since we were talking about getting kicked out of arenas earlier, just for the record, were you ever kicked out of the OB?
Out of where?
Out of the
Out of where?
Out of the Orange Bowl.
Oh, out of the Orange Bowl. That's probably the one stadium I didn't get kicked out of.
Nobody got kicked out of the Orange Bowl.
No, but also, like, I've been on the board at the University of Miami for 20 plus years, and the ushers are very slow, and they're a little bit older. And when I was 10, Tim, I can move pretty good. I had a good first step.
3 years ago, we spoke here, courtside, for a few minutes, and you acknowledged that you were still learning this world. I mean, obviously, you came from a different sport. How much have you learned? How comfortable are you in the NBA space and just understanding not just the intricacies of the game, but why teams make the decisions they're making and things of that? Like, what has this learning process been like for you over these 3 years, and how comfortable are you now that maybe you weren't in 21 or 22 when you started this?
Yeah, I mean, Tim, I remember that, and 3 years have gone by pretty quickly. I would say that me personally, I'm still in the very beginning stages of my learning curve. I spent, the last 40 years studying baseball. I still study baseball every day. I love it. I find myself learning more and more every single day. I'm a real student of the game of baseball. While probably 70% doesn't transfer, about 30% does transfer, and that's culture. That's treating players with high integrity, giving them the best that you can give them as far as, whether it's travel, hotels, food, PT, all these things that are really important. And I think that's where Mark and I make a good team, because I come at it from the locker room and how important that room is and how precious that room is. But I still got a lot of work to do. I'm probably rounding first base if I'm being generous to myself.
Steve Ashburner, NBA.com. Even new eras benefit from franchise histories. And this franchise has had, I guess, an estranged legend for quite a while in Kevin Garnett. Do you anticipate any conversations, or maybe have you already had conversations with him about somehow coming back into the fold?
I mean, he's the GOAT in Minnesota, and we have a tremendous respect for KG and everything he's accomplished, and we would love to get closer to him, and we know the fans want to see that, and we want to see that too. So,
Yep.
yeah.
You want to keep
No,
going?
go ahead.
You can keep going. I would just say I've been an enormous fan of Kevin. We're kind of similar ages. We both came out in similar drafts. I don't know if it was 93 draft or 95. We're both #1 picks. Both came out of high school, so I watched him. I tracked him closely. If anything that's important to our fan base is going to be important to us, and obviously he means a great deal to our fan base, and Mark and I are going to be working on that.
Mark Spears, ESPN Landscape for A-Rod. Why basketball? One, and two, you're making history in terms of Hispanic ownership in the NBA. I want to see what that means to you, and is it something you take a lot of pride in?
Mark, give me the first part of your question.
Why basketball?
Oh, why basketball? Well, we tried at baseball and we failed. We tried to buy the Mets, and there's a guy by the name of Steve Cohen that has a pretty deep wallet, and now Steve is doing some wonderful things with the New York Mets. The dirty little secret is I grew up a Mets fan, and '86 when they won the title, hard to believe that game 6 and 7, 60 million people watched that game 7 in '86. I watched every pitch of, I think, like 30 World Series in a row, every pitch, including the 2 Twins championship. I met with Wick from the Boston Celtics, Grossbeck, and about 5 years ago in the process when Mark and I were trying to take a run at the Mets. And I was asking him some advice about, baseball and some of the things he's learned in his practices with Boston. And when the meeting ended, the dinner ended in New York, he said, you should look into the NBA if this doesn't work out. And funnily enough, when Mark and I came in, he said, he finally listened to me. So I'm just a big admirer of the NBA, the brand, what Adam Silver and his group have done over the last many, many years, going back to David Stearns. I remember watching Magic and Bird every single Sunday on CBS. Then they passed the baton to Michael, and then LeBron, and so on and so forth. And if you see the growth over the last 7 or 8 years, it's just remarkable. And I also think, Mark, that the fact that I know nothing about basketball, and I'm literally just trying to study as much as I can, I think is going to help me, because when I ask Coach Finch or Matt or Del Demps, I'm asking them questions because I don't know and I want to get educated. And I think Mark and I both take that same approach. Yeah, I mean, look, for my Hispanic people in the community, I think this is something that is pretty awesome, and I take, with tremendous gratitude and humility. And it's the Hispanic community, the Black and Brown community, and I'm so thankful to Adam Silver and the rest of the board that they allowed someone like myself with a background of sports and being a minority. I think is just pretty awesome. And the other thing I would say about athletes, I think athletes are very underrated about their capacity of how great business people they can be, both men and women. I think people overlook them. They don't think they're as smart as they are, but they're brilliant, and they can be incredible business people. And I have you're gonna see more ownership, more governors that are former athletes. I wanna see that, and it's just not enough, Mark, for me to get in there. I wanna get in there, I wanna learn as much as possible, and I also wanna leave that door open for others to follow. And I'll bet you there's a handful of kids that are playing right here in the Summer League that 30 years from now are gonna be governors and owners, and hopefully there's a start of something really good for our players.
Hi, Sean Powell at NBA.com. I wonder how you guys feel about the Target Center going forward. It's been there as long as a team.
Sean, you said what is the Target Center? What about Target Center?
Yeah, how do you feel about the building going forward?
Yeah, Sean, when you think about it, these arenas, and I was in several teams that went from old stadium to new stadium. I did it in Seattle from the Kingdom to Safeco, and obviously in New York from old Yankee Stadium to new Yankee Stadium. And back in the day, you can probably say it was a vanity. It was a nice little treat to have. Today is a necessity. If you want to compete at the level we want to compete year in and year out, a new arena is what our fans deserve. We're in the very, very early stages. We've done a great deal of work over the last 3 years, but an arena in Minneapolis for our fans would be absolutely awesome. And we have great role models in our own market. I mean, you see the way the Vikings run their shop is really admirable. US Bank Field is beautiful. And then the Minnesota Twins, that's actually one of my favorite stadiums to play, top 2 or 3 in all of baseball. I mean, they just did an impeccable job. So you see what these arenas do for communities, but talk about community service. I mean, an arena is an anchor to the community.
Hey guys, Mike Vorkanoff, The Athletic. Mark, I think you mentioned about not coming in and changing things right away or doing something big right away. There's something like new owner syndrome where you come in and you do something big, not arguably smart right away. How much have you thought about that and taking your time in terms of leaving an imprint on an organization from the team and roster building perspective and getting involved with all the basketball ops, and how much room you want to give them and how much imprint both of you guys want to put on the team?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for us, we have been owners the last 4 years, and we had a chance to bring in Tim Conley and watch some of the moves that he's made over the last few years that have paid off really well. I think we're in a really good spot. As Alex said, it's really about continuity, continuity with Tim, with Coach, with Ant, some of our other younger players. I think that's really important to us, and we think we've got a really good foundation to build upon. We don't feel pressure to make any sudden big moves. Yeah.
Hey guys, Fred Gatz from The Athletic. For either of you, franchise valuations are way up, revenue is obviously way up, salary cap is rising every year, but along with that, expenses for owning an NBA team have never been higher for ownership across the league, and we're obviously seeing a new wave of ownership across the league right now. I'm curious, with that being just a fact that owning an NBA team year to year has never been more expensive, how do you feel like that will affect non-player salary expenses moving forward with the league? With you guys particular, or maybe as a trend in the league?
I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with rising expenses or anything. I think we have to run the business side like a business, and we're currently in the process of finding a leader on the business side in the same way we found Tim on the basketball side, and we're going to make sure we bring in an absolute superstar into that role, and then empower them to go do their job and bring in the right execs and leaders, and if they have to, move out people that aren't aligned with the values and the culture we're trying to create. So just like any other business, nothing different.
Yeah, and I would add that for us is about really executing what we call VCP, the vision, lay out the vision for the organization, provide the resources that it takes to make that vision come true. And then the hardest part is where Mark and I spend most of our time is finding the best people in the world, paying them really well, have alignment with us and the fan base and our players, and is about moving forward. And then the one thing about investing, it doesn't happen where you got to get the results and then you invest. Mark and I believe, just like a starter, you got to invest the money and believe that it will follow. And that's the key. You can't wait for it to rain before you get an umbrella, right? So we've done that already. We started that, and we're looking to do more.
That's it? All right. We're going to invite photographers to come up and take a photo of Mark and Alex.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'd like to officially welcome new Timberwolves and Lynx co-chairman Mark Lore and Alex Rodriguez. This concludes today's presser. Look forward to seeing many of you over the Summer League and at Target Center when the season starts. We can mingle a little bit, but 1:15, there's a hard out. There's another press conference starting at 1:15.